I've had Sarah as my companion. I can now disappoint her with freedom. And it's opening...
Oh, it's like real life.
Yeah. It's opening up a whole new gameplay element for me because now it's like, well, I mean, there's other companions.
Welcome to episode 19 of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Michael, and I am here with Duane. What's going on, Duane?
Hey, everyone. Not a whole lot, man. I am just chilling after a little bit of stress from the holidays. Do you get stressed out at all?
I mean, a little, but we have, the last couple of years, we've kept our holidays so low-key that it's been kind of nice. We're not looking for anything that's going to stress us out. I know that's tough to avoid for some people.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you have friends or when you have family coming in, and we have my mother and father-in-law staying with us, and we also have more family coming in next week, but there's always a little added layer of stress. So, Michael, I was thinking our podcast could be the chance for people to kind of unwind a little bit. You know, it's like
That's
Cool
right.
95. Turn on your jazz station. It's Michael and Duane for your relaxing post-Christmas show.
Just relax, listen to us talk about one of our favorite video games.
That's
Just
right.
chilling,
Turn your fireplace on, get a glass of your favorite beverage, and kick back and enjoy.
If you've got any leftover eggnog, you know, you got to drink it up.
God.
Not an eggnog fan?
Not.
Oh, man, I love it. I love it.
Wow.
All right,
There's something wrong with you.
people. Chime in the comments. We need to know who's team eggnog and who is not. Team not eggnog.
Mm-hmm. Team normal.
Team normal.
Team normal people.
We should get into some news and community items. And I got to say, what is amazing is there is never a shortage of Starfield news.
Right. There's always something coming down the pike, as they say. And that was no exception this week. We got some major news, right?
We did get some major news. But before we get to that, before we get to the really big stuff, I want to open with something a little light, a little bit just heartwarming.
Sure.
In the No Sodium Starfield subreddit, PS1 Gamer Collector listed the top 10 mass murders that you can commit in Starfield without getting a bounty.
Yeah, that is a light subject for sure. I mean, you know, listen, like I said, the holidays bring on some stress, and what better way to relieve that stress than to go into the game and, you know, to have your way without any consequences, apparently, right? Like you can go in there and not get a bounty from this?
You don't get any bounty. Now, I actually stumbled on one of these accidentally because there was a certain jacket that I was trying to get, and I did get, and you have to do one of these to get this jacket. So that is, you work for the Ebside Strikers, and you betray them. You betray them at the end.
All for a jacket. That must be a nice jacket.
It's really good. Yeah, it was worth
Fur-lined.
it.
Synthetic fur, of course.
It's just really badass, and I actually got two of them, which is rare. I scum saved quite a bit to make sure I got two of these.
Is it lined with the flora of Leviathan 4 and the rare plants?
It's a very kingly jacket. But I thought this was interesting because, as we know in the game, in most Bethesda games, you could like accidentally steal something off of someone's desk by pressing A at the wrong moment, and you'll instantly get a bounty. So it's nice to, you know, if you gotta just empty a few clips, I'll go through some of these. So betraying the Strikers, as I said. Okay, murdering everyone on board the Regana. And I won't necessarily go into explaining some of these because if you haven't been there yet, it might be considered a spoiler. But people that have been there, you know what we're talking about. There's a spot during the UC quest line where you can kill a bunch of people right in the public square. Man, this is dark. This is so dark. But
you're kind of pausing a little bit as you realize that this got heavy all of a sudden. But
it's so funny. Like I'm trying to describe. Yeah, it's a video game, but. It's so funny because, I'm trying to just say it like it's just a normal thing. And as the words come out of my mouth, I'm like, I hope that I'm not suddenly investigated by authorities for saying some of these things.
The fact that this person who posted this found all 10 of these, I mean, I hope I'm not on his naughty list.
They were definitely going for an evil playthrough, but thank you very much, PS1 Gamer Collector, for listing these out. People doing an evil playthrough and not wanting to get, bounties.
That is fun because bounty can be annoying, right? I mean, like you expect, especially when it's unexpected and you walk in and you get scanned or whatever, and you're like, what? I don't remember doing anything bad, but
honestly, like that's one of the biggest deterrents to playing an evil character is racking up a
sheer
bounty.
Cost.
Yeah,
the sheer cost of it,
and it's not just money. I don't know how many people don't know this, but you'll actually get docked XP if you go to. Yeah, this is what happens.
I did not know that.
If you have to go to jail. And you're in there for a certain amount of time, but of course you can just speed time through your sentence. Yeah, sleep through your sentence. However,
just like real life.
will dock you. They'll dock you XP. But let's say that you're like down. Let's say you're level 40 and your XP bar is all the way at the beginning. It will give you an XP debt.
Oh no way!
Then you can actually get an XP debt. And you will not, it won't take you down a level, but you won't level up again until you've filled that debt and then continued building XP. So it's really, you really don't want to go to jail in this game.
At least you don't have to make license plates, for starships.
That'd be really funny if you had to just sit there and craft license plates. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, they won't let you sleep. They just make you do some menial task for like days.
And you have to keep going and picking up the tin or the resources or aluminum, I guess, out of the box. I'll post the link to the top 10 mass murders that you can do in Starfield without getting a bounty in our show notes. So go nuts.
Also, you posted a story about someone who spent 18 hours flying to the sun from Mercury. I saw this story and it was really cool. Yeah. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. Whoever did this posted all the photos from it and it looked amazing. Yep. It's just like spaceship with like a star behind it. It's so cool.
It was such a cool thing that this person did to show off like actually flying close enough to a sun to get a good look at it. Now, there are some crazy findings also behind what, like this person flying 18 hours. They noticed that without uncapping their acceleration, so they used a mod. Of course, they use mods to do a lot of this. So they uncapped acceleration. Otherwise, they were not able to get away from Mercury.
The gravity was holding them in orbit or something. That's what they postulated.
Yeah, that was what they were thinking, is that they could not leave Mercury. So their observation is that, yes, Mercury and other planets in Starfield have a gravitational pull on your ship. I mean, the implications here are pretty wild for what type of simulation is hiding under the surface of this game.
Yeah, and we've discussed this in the past, where if you're on a smaller moon to a larger planet, and if it's not tidally locked, well, even if it is, you're still spinning at a great rate, so you see the local star creating these shadows that are moving very quickly, and it's impressive because you're realizing, I mean, somewhere in the back of my brain, I'm like, wow, the math that it took for them to make this happen in real time is amazing. And didn't the person who flew to the sun from Mercury, didn't they also approach it like actual space flight? They sped up and then they turned the ship and then slowed down in a post burn or something like that, if I remember reading it correctly. Yeah, so it was kind of like it was approached like actual space flight, which I thought was extra cool.
Yeah, like turn and burn. They had to spin, just like you said. They had to fire the engine in the opposite direction just to decelerate. The other thing at play here is that when you get to the sun, when he got to it, there's full like animation of the solar flares and the all the little explosions coming off of the sun. It is beautiful, and the vanilla game never takes you that close to a star.
Right.
I mean, sometimes in the map, there's a few systems that are close enough to the star that it actually you can see it. It's interesting because it reminds me of something that Todd Howard said. He said that it took them 7 years or whatever the amount of time. He was like, it took us 7 years to figure out how to make the game fun. It really makes me think that there are a lot more systems in play for simulated space travel than we think. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't fun. That's not fun for most consumers.
You know what's really interesting about that is there are I feel like, and there's people in our Discord, they're yearning for that space simulation. They want more of it.
Yeah.
And I do think there's definitely going to be mods. I don't know if they're going to, change the game at all to allow you to fly to the sun. Maybe in the game somewhere there's a mission that takes you to something close to a star, right?
Yeah.
So we get to see those star animations. That's why they're there, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I do feel like, I mean, part of some of the criticism on this game has been that it does kind of feel like a space simulation that isn't really giving you the full space simulation that everyone wants.
Yeah.
People want, like we talked about last episode, you want to go through the atmosphere sometimes. You should be able to see that full transition. And you want to fly from one planet to the other and watch it take place, whether it takes you 2 hours. Go ahead and let us do that, because I think there's a whole subset of the core audience that wants to do those things.
There is. I mean, wouldn't you say, do you agree with me that I think they made the right move at least to launch the game, because they had the ad campaign. It's on Game Pass. They're trying to hit a wide, reaching audience, and most people are going to not want to, do all the space sim stuff.
100%. And we saw that with Kerbal Space Program, or what's it called? Kerbal 2?
Yeah, Kerbal Space Program. Yeah.
They just did a patch, and I don't know the details, but kind of what I thought they did was they made it more fun. Because if you played Kerbal, the original one, the learning curve is great. Like it takes a while, and that's actually that is
that's
the point of the
challenge.
game, is like figuring out how to get to space, right? But it's a little too real for people. It's less video game and more like astrophysics. So I think that turned off kind of the general mass audience. This game Starfield has to be a game for mass audiences because it's this huge Microsoft-backed flagship.
It's going to be fun to see some of this stuff unlocked, and it will be interesting to see if it actually is fun.
The more you can do in the game, it should be optional. It should be a switch.
Yeah.
Don't let me fly, boring stuff, or let me do the boring stuff, because I love it.
This is one of those things where, like for instance, the survival mode in Fallout and Skyrim, I would not have enjoyed playing through the game the first time doing survival mode, because it's tough. It's tough to go from point A to
Elden
point
Ring.
B. Yeah, dude, it's just It gets really tough, and I like that challenge after the fact, after I've already beaten it. Starfield, when survival mechanics finally come out, I don't know how much of the story I'll actually do. I'll be busy surviving.
And speaking of survival mode, we got the first official confirmation that it's coming.
Yes, Starfield. They gave an update. They put out an interesting infographic that I think we should talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And then they talked about sort of a roadmap. This is the first time we have gotten something of a roadmap.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that Bethesda, given this push to besmirch the game, like the review is dropping on Steam. So I think this is kind of Bethesda's, way to push back a little bit against that. And rightly so. I think a lot of that, I don't know what the deal is with it, but maybe because there were such great expectations and it wasn't everyone's perfect video game. so it couldn't live up to the hype
Yeah.
of every single
Yep.
person's perfect video game out there. But
Yeah.
this infographic that they released it got a lot of play on various social media. I saw it plastered all over the place. 13 million players, infinite universes.
13 million players, it's good. That's a great thing. Like, honestly, for a game that's not even on PlayStation anymore, or it never was, but I mean that Bethesda games aren't there anymore. I think 13 million is fine.
Right.
What I think is more interesting is it talks about 22 million days played.
Average playtime per player is 40 hours, right?
Yeah.
That's a good chunk of
Yeah.
time. I mean, when you think about other AAA titles that came out in 2023, do they stack up to 40
Yeah.
hours? I mean, I don't want to say the game that everyone's thinking, but
I'll say another one.
Okay.
I'll talk about one that was a total joke. Call of Duty. The new Call of Duty was rushed out to, just to exist.
yeah.
And it
How
made
many
tons of
hours
money.
to play
So
through that game, right? 7?
4, from what I heard.
4.
No,
Wow.
normally it would be like 7 to 10 to get through a campaign, which is fine. Whatever. Like I actually love a lot of Call of Duty games, and I usually play them. And I did not buy this year because I had been paying attention and I knew that it was rushed and like, I know most people just play multiplayer. I like the multiplayer. I also really like the campaign, guys. I love the campaign. I'm totally out. I'm done. Because I heard that what they did was they just took some of their larger multiplayer maps and turned those into, like, campaign areas. Like, just phoned it in.
That's just lazy.
And really, really lazy. And the campaign takes like 4 hours to beat. And I was just like, nope,
Especially
not getting my money.
given how easy it is to, I mean, yeah, maybe I'll walk that back a little bit. I was going to say it's easy to create levels these days with the tools that they have. You can generate a lot of really detailed 3D levels with Unreal Engine.
Especially like with the budget and the team that they have.
Right.
Like, there's just no excuse.
I blame
But
management.
That's one example. That's an extreme example because that was a very troubled development. But tons of AAA games come out that have like 20-hour campaigns, and which is great. And so then like Starfield comes out, and honestly, I feel like the campaign is about 30 to 40 hours if you just go straight through.
Right.
So that 40-hour count, pretty good. And you know it's balanced by people. There's people that are playing like 600 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's wild what the amount of hours that people are stacking up. And we saw all these memes of people saying, I played Starfield for 300 hours and it's the worst game I've ever played. It's become a meme of like people that have invested hundreds of hours and quote unquote hate the game, right? It's like, really?
I'll say there's one that I saw a post from someone, and I actually responded to, because they didn't hate the game. They liked the game, but they said, hey, I'm starting to get bored of the game. And I read their post. They said, I've played 500 hours. And then they go on to describe what they had done and all that stuff, and that they just kind of hit a wall and they were feeling bored. So 2 things. Number one, like I wrote, all right, first off, 500 hours is a lot. So if you play 500 hours of any game and you start to get bored, that is normal. That's natural.
I can't believe
That's
they didn't
okay.
like go and play another game for 5 minutes and come back, right?
And that's the thing. And like, I'm going to get skewered for this because we do a Starfield, podcast. I'm not saying that I get bored of the game, but I'm saying that if I do many days of lots of Starfield, I get sucked into like a grind. So I'll get like focused on something. When I get focused on a grind, that's when I get a little bit bored. And then, I take a break. I do something else. I play Dredge or whatever,
Yeah.
And then, what's funny is then I'll see somebody else's post about something else in Starfield that I wasn't doing because I was doing my thing. And all of a sudden I want to play again. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that other thing. My point is that the other thing that I told this person because this was their first Bethesda game. Like they were saying, oh, I always hear people talking about how they play for years and years Bethesda games. And they're like, what's wrong? Because I played 500 hours. So I just told them, I have countless times gotten quote unquote bored of Skyrim and Fallout. You get bored, you stop, and then what happens? 6 months later, I'm always like, man, you know what? I'm going to make another character in Skyrim. I'm going to make another character in Fallout.
And that makes a huge difference because I had this happen today. I was playing Starfield. As we all know, I've had Sarah as my companion since the beginning. And
you're dedicated.
You're
monogamous.
Totally. She has limited my choices though. So today I was like, you know what? This looks like a fun choice. Of course, she disliked it. I did it again. And then that actually had this kind of freeing feeling for me to not have to worry about, because I've already married her and I'm like, I can now disappoint her with freedom. And it's opening.
Oh, it's like real life.
Yeah. It's opening up a whole new gameplay element for me because now it's like, well, I mean, there's other companions out there. So if this one gets disappointed, but if it's getting boring, change up your companion. That's one quick way. Or just honestly go play Round Guard or Dredge or 10 million other games that are out there. Getting back to the infographic, I mean, they talked about the most dangerous faction, Ecliptic. Were you surprised by that? I almost thought it would be just the Spacers, but...
I was surprised by this. I just don't feel like I encounter them as much as I encounter pirates.
Right.
Although pirates makes sense that wouldn't be up there because if you have a lot of people doing pirate playthroughs, even if you're temporarily a pirate, then you're not fighting them. So that actually does make sense. But Spacers, I thought, would be higher.
Yeah, I think maybe because you can't join the Ecliptic, right? So they are the only bad guy faction, I guess, that is bad to everyone all the time.
And it makes me wonder, are they considering Spacers as a faction?
Spacers are just generic bad guys, right?
Honestly, there's even a loading screen tip that says Spacers is a term applied to any ruffian that's out there, being a jerk.
They're probably not even considered a faction.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Faction. The other one, I was surprised at first to see Ashta as the most dangerous life form, but very quickly I realized it's not that surprising.
Yeah, they're a charging animal, right? Like they charge you and they hit really hard. I actually think I've been killed by one of those.
I think about this, how the universe is so huge and different players are going to different planets at any given time, right? But because the story takes you to Ashta, and actually there's parts, there's missions that actually have you investigate what's going on with the Ashta. So that actually makes sense. So on the infographic, they have the favorite meal as the battle meal multi-pack. This is weird to me.
I don't think it's weird at all because first off, it has a cool name. I mean, how cool is battle meal? It just sounds like...
That's true.
Sounds like you're an action-packed superhero because you're eating battle meal multi-pack.
Or it's like an 80s ad for something that you give kids. Battle meal.
It sounds like something that you'd get packed into your, school lunch. So I understand that. And I think it restores a fair amount of health. Like it's one of the larger...
True.
So it is something that I've eaten on quite a few occasions.
The problem is that it's so heavy. Like it's a heavier thing to carry. But I guess if you pick it up or eat it right away, I am disappointed it's not chunks. Is that because there's such a variety of chunks?
Yeah, it must be.
I bet if they added up all the chunks, all the different types, that would have been number one.
For sure it would have. And it said the most trusted weapon was the Combatech Beowulf.
It makes sense because I've seen this weapon a lot. You can actually, it's pretty versatile, so you can pick it up and just have it as sort of a battle rifle, or you can kit it out to be a sniper rifle. And finally, I really wanted to talk about this power. The most used power is Sense Star Stuff.
Right.
Now, for those that don't know what it is, It is, you activate it and you can actually see all the enemies nearby through walls and stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, because people are star stuff.
I remember laughing, like talking to a friend about the game and how funny this name was, like star stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's like because we're all made of stars.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's actually a really cool way to talk about people, especially, for people that are irreligious. There's this kind of like thing that we're all made of the stars. We are literally made of star stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like, well, when you die, you become star stuff again, more literally.
Right. Yeah.
You become
Eventually,
you're
yeah,
broken down into matter and little building blocks of life. But yeah, I actually have not unlocked that power yet, so I'm anxious to get that.
I'll say this, if you're doing a stealth build, since star stuff is awesome for just seeing where enemies are, and I've used it during a lot of stealth missions. I'm still surprised by this because it's not my favorite power to use all the time, just selectively.
You posted on our YouTube channel our podcast with your own video clips that you've recorded during your play.
Yeah.
I noticed you were killing an enemy, and then an enemy was like blending into the background, kind of. And then you noticed him like a second later, and you started shooting at him.
Oh.
But this would have been helpful because sometimes the enemies, there's like so much stuff in frame and so much detail that oftentimes if an enemy isn't moving, they're going to blend right into the background.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
especially like dark areas.
Yeah, do you get like a reticule or like their health meter or whatever? Then you'll see them, of course.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I've always seen Sense Star stuff as a purely stealth tool, but now I'm realizing that you could just have it as like ultimate battle vision. Yeah, and I never really thought of using it that way, but that makes sense.
Dude, I'm such a noob at this game that I rarely use I forget I have them completely. It's not an integral part of my gameplay, and I wish it were.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I used my powers way more because they seem like they're useful, but
yeah,
I forget about them, and I'm playing, and I'm just, hammering away on the trigger and killing people. And
well, I've seen some players that are sort of purists that they want the sci-fi experience without the more extreme magical part of it. That does appeal to me. So I could see playing this game in the future and just being like, no, I don't use powers.
Or playing it and really experimenting with the powers as much as possible.
Yeah.
Something that I'd want to do because I'm 60, 70 hours into the game and I've only used the powers a handful of times.
Yeah, and we have talked about the fact that some of the powers aren't immediately you don't understand what they do right off the bat. One of them at the time was elemental pull. Now I know what it does. It's not a combat thing at all. Like, it's basically mining. If you're near rocks, you just go, psh, you'll just get them. That's actually really nice for scanning a planet because when you pull in a resource, it counts as scanning it too.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to get the pimp pull power. Where you unlock the ability to just, pull massive game everywhere you go in all the bars across the galaxy. And you use your power to, woo whoever you want with your pimp pull.
It would be funny if you could start using the powers to like flirt, like, because in a universe where this were possible,
people would use that. Like, they would abuse it.
You would do magic tricks. Yeah, you would do magic tricks at the bar to try to impress. Actually, it reminds me of I think it's been a long time since I've seen Looper, but in that movie, like, people had figured out how to do mind reading or no, it was like telekinesis. And like, true to form, there's a guy in a bar using telekinesis to like just show a lady what he can do as a little trick. And I just thought that was a nice little detail because like that probably would happen. So let's see it in Starfield. The talk of powers, it just reminds me of this realization that I had. And just going back to the whole like getting bored or getting into a grind. So one of the reasons that I fell into that recently was because I'm on New Game Plus. It's my first New Game Plus. In New Game Plus, not only can you, go around and gather the artifacts again, but you can actually visit all the temples again. And if you visit all the temples again, then you can actually re-get that same power. So, hey, Sense Star Stuff is now Sense Star Stuff 2. And it might be a little bit more powerful, or it might have a little bit more reach, or it might last a little bit longer.
Does it?
Yeah, so the thing is, if you are grinding this game for a long time, you can actually get all of your powers up to level 10.
I did not know that.
Now, yeah, so there you go.
Wow.
Here's what's very interesting, though, is I saw somebody, like, we've already talked about, people's criticism for the temples and flying around and tag. Okay, now I got it. Someone was like, to get all these powers to level 10, you have to do the temples, and it was like 200 or 300 something times.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And it's a lot. And that does not sound fun to me. But here is the realization. You don't have to do it. You just don't. Like, that's something I had to tell myself, because I was only on New Game Plus 1. And this is just getting powers to level 2. And I started to realize, I was like, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm getting tired of this. And then I thought about it, my powers are already good enough.
Yeah. I was just wondering, are there enemies that require such great powers or skills? There really doesn't seem to be super high level bosses or enemies.
There really isn't. And this is something that's funny to me, is seeing someone criticize the game because going through the temple 350 whatever times is not fun. I just think to myself, why did you do that? Why did you make that choice? Like,
it's not like
that's insanity to me.
I mean, I guess you could do them as fast back to back as possible. You could do that, but in reality, if you're on NG1 or 5, I mean, you're probably not going to grind them out. I mean, you're going to be playing the game in between and doing all the other things.
I feel like the game is designed to be, hey, if you want to have this character for the next 5 years, and you just, here and there you hit a temple, oh, boom, okay, now I'm level 3 on that power, level 4. Like, to me, it's about having a character that you can play for a long time. But I think there's this thing that happens with gamers where if you can do it, they think you have to do it. And they have to do it right now. So they find out, the game is programmed for New Game 10, level 10, and then you can get all the powers level 10. And so then they're like, I got to do it. I got to do that. And then you get to it and you go, now what? Now nothing. I just go build an outpost. I don't know.
Yeah. Go to Drive in our Discord channel and join the weekly challenge, which is New Year's themed
we're doing New Year's.
Yeah, this week, and we already have our first ship by Oliver, actually, which is a beer.
Oh, it's a beer mug. It is beautiful.
I loved it.
It is beautiful.
What was last week's?
Holiday themed. Yeah, last week's was holiday themed, but of course it was week of Christmas, so a lot of Christmas stuff. A lot of people made some really awesome ships. But no, I was going to say, I actually did dabble this week in some New Year's stuff, but I wasn't really happy with my ship.
Oh, you got to post it anyway. Don't be so proud.
Man. All right, I'll post it, but here's my problem. My biggest problem is that I wanted so badly for my ship to appear like it was gold, because when I think New Year's, I think of like sparklers and champagne, and everything is very golden. A lot of times, like, they'll have decorations that look like they're made out of gold. And I can't. It just looks yellow or yellowish brown. I can't get it to look that way.
Yeah, it turned into, like, if you drink too much, you're peeing on the sidewalk.
What's funny is
pee and poop ship.
What's funny is the ship that I was going for, I made it look sort of bus-like, and I was going to call it the Party Bus. I wanted it to be a golden bus, but now it just looks like a school bus because it's just yellow. It's very disappointing.
That's hilarious. You know what you could do is just run it through a filter just for the photo.
There's even in game, the photo the photo mode has filters on it. I bet I could make it look like gold. All right, you did it, Duane.
right.
You've reinvigorated my desire to
See, at least
share
one
this.
of us has to put something in there because I've been way too busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to.
Well, I mean, speaking of shipbuilding, we are getting some new stuff for shipbuilding in the roadmap.
Did they mention that? I missed that. Actually, didn't see that part.
They did.
Ooh, that's cool.
So, I actually bulleted out a few things that are interesting. Now, everyone has been talking about the new ways to travel. That's what they said. Mm-hmm. They did not specify any further what that means. But we talked about this last week, right? You had said that it could be, I said it could be a land speeder, and you said it could be pertaining to what
they already have, the ship in the game,
yeah,
and how it works and how it functions with planets and all that stuff.
So maybe some of those sim, things we talked about. Mm-hmm. Another thing that's kind of funny is there city maps. City maps are coming, guys. We're gonna have maps.
Going back to like episode 3 for us, we're like, it'd be cool if they had a city map, and then they built it.
Yeah, we talked about this. Well, what's
kind of lame is you go up to a kiosk in New Atlantis, and it's like, here's the guide, and it's text. It feels like, missed opportunity. This should have been a map, like instead of like a choose your own adventure from 1985 with just text.
We're like, I still don't know where anything is.
Yeah, it's like, go to the residential district. Okay, well, where in the residential district is the medical place? I'm like, it's trial by elimination. Okay, that's the tower, the residential tower. I'm still walking, trying to find. But yeah, maps would be cool.
There's times I sort of have defended the game, but I think I was a little bit wrong because I'd be like, whatever. Like, I know where all the important stuff is. Like, you get used to it. But then the other day, I wanted to change my character up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, where the hell is Enhance in New Atlantis? Mm-hmm. Like, I had no idea.
Enhance is tricky to find.
And I gave up.
Is it in...
I went to Neon.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it's in the basement. What's the...
Oh, in the well.
Is it in the well? I think it's in the well.
You might be right.
Maybe.
You might be
Not
right.
Sure.
I went around and I was just like, yep, I was wrong. We need maps. But yeah, speaking of the ships, right? They're saying expanding on ship customization with ship decorations. I don't know what that means because we already have like structural stuff.
Yeah.
Are we going to get decals?
That would be cool.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they had a decal system the way Forza Horizon and the Forza games had a decal system?
Awesome.
People are putting anime girls and stuff on their cars.
I would totally put the Porsche Martini stripes on my spaceship, 100%.
That would be cool. Mm-hmm. New shipbuilding options.
Okay.
So whatever that means, and more. So shipbuilding options. I mean... I'm not counting on it, but it would be nice what we talked about, being able to go inside and decorate from the inside.
You want to bag your ship, you want to lower it and put on some spinners.
I want the neon, what's he called?
Neon
it? Underglow?
lights underglow. That would be sweet.
I want to say, like, they also talk about in the roadmap, they talk about customizing difficulty. So right now you can do like easy, normal, hard, Maybe there's another one. Once this update comes out, you're going to be able to customize your carry capacity, your cargo access distance, ship damage, vendor credits, how you suffer afflictions, and they're adding new survival mechanics. I think this is huge because, for instance, as a player, I don't have a big problem with anything else in the game, except for a while. Getting into ship battles was really tough for me.
I've been wanting to, I feel like the ship battle part of the game is going to be really fun for me at some point. Right now, it's not that fun because I'm weak. My ship is weak, and it's just, I mostly run or I rely on the Razor Leaf reputation, the Mantis reputation, to get me out of battles still. Okay, well, I can't wait to explore this part of the gameplay. But I mean, the fact that they're improving it, and I think also from a PC standpoint, I've heard if you use the game controller, it totally changes the space battles to be way more intuitive and way more fun. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to hook up my Xbox style controller, and I think it'll be a lot more fun for the space battles. But I mean, the updates will be great too.
And I think what's interesting is, for instance, the vendor credits. you know, when they patched out, like there were some glitches, right? Some bugs that allowed you to take advantage of the game and just, you know, pull out money, basically. It's like free money.
Yeah.
You
free
know,
money.
they patched those out, and what a lot of people say is they say, who cares, it's a single player game. And that's fine. Like I don't like to use those exploits because I like to role play. But again, yes, you're right. It's a single player game. Well, this to me is Bethesda, even though they don't want the glitches, they don't want you to take advantage of bugs, but this is them saying, we recognize it's a single player game. We're going to let you choose if vendors have more credits, for example.
It's a smart move. It's just what they call a quality of life upgrade, right? Just going to make the game a little bit more fun, a little more approachable. And why have something that's punitive and is not fun for no reason?
Speaking of not fun for no reason, the new survival mechanics are something I'm very excited about.
Oh,
I know you're not.
Yeah, I mean, that's not my bag, baby, but some people like survival modes.
What's funny is like survival mechanics were like, it's, you know, when people, you know, they say something is the worst kept secret. This was like, it was not unexpected. We all knew, like all signs pointed to survival mechanics are coming. But I thought this was a big deal because this was the first official statement saying, here they come. So to me, this update was a big deal. Like them saying this, because I was like, I know it's coming. I know that.
Right.
But now I know for sure.
To have them, you know, officially verify it is that much better.
All right, well then of course they also talk about the creation kit coming out, and they also talk about Shattered Space, which of course is the first DLC that we've heard about forever. Duane, what do you think? They say our first major expansion coming next year. When next year?
Yeah, so that to me sounds like they pushed it back. And I think the reason they pushed it back was because of some of the negative publicity that they've gotten in the last 2 months. They're focusing on making the core game slightly different, slightly more fun, who knows what, right? They're refocusing
more options, whatever.
They're refocusing their efforts on the core game. Shattered Space is getting pushed back, so it's kind of a bummer, but I mean, all in all, it's all good things because they're still working on the game, they're still adding improvements. So we really have nothing to complain about. I mean, I said I thought Shattered Space would come by Christmas. Yeah. So obviously it's not here, and this makes it sound like it could be summer or even later.
I see them talking about all these other updates, and they keep saying early next year, early next year, early next year. And then when they say Shattered Space, they say next year. So absolutely, I think my prediction would be similar. I'm thinking end of the summer. Honestly, a year after the game came out, at least. So,
I mean, we'll see.
Creation kit's coming out early next year, so people are going to be modding the heck out of this game, and it'll be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a fun week in the Starfield Adventure Club, which is our ongoing in our Discord. So anybody can jump in and go to the same planet and talk about it with fans of the show. And every week we actually send a free coffee mug, special emblazoned Starfield Adventure Club coffee mug to just somebody who stood out that week for their contribution.
Yeah, that's right. And Warwizard was our SAC winner last week. Warwizard is making these really cool videos and posting them to YouTube, linking them in our Discord, in the SAC channel. And it's Sir David Attenborough, the voice of nature, and he is narrating Warwizard's kind of experience on Bara or Vesta or whatever planet he's actually he won for Vesta, right?
Yeah, he won for Vesta, and it's so crazy, like it's so good. It's this nature documentary, but about the creatures on these planets in Starfield, and he uses this AI voice of Attenborough, and
it's really creative.
And we will link it in the show notes. Go check it out together.
Absolutely.
So that was a coffee mug well deserved.
Definitely. And if you want to be a part of the Starfield Adventure Club, come join our Discord and post your experience. We have a new planet every week.
We announced that on Wednesdays. Currently, we actually all just started exploring Cassiopeia 1 in Eta Cassiopeia. So that's where we are now. Jump into the Discord and come check out what people are posting. Beautiful screenshots and really interesting stories.
Yep, the amount of time that people are investing in lining up the shots and making these really compelling stories is impressive. It's a lot of fun.
All right, we got some listener feedback. We've talked about the procedural generation. We've talked about it to death. Galactron FTW jumped into our comments on YouTube to say that it is correct that the procedural generation is seeded, but we don't all get the same seed. But on PC, people have figured out how to get the same
yes
generation.
Okay.
That I'm going to put that to bed. I promise, guys, I'm never going to talk about it again.
Promise?
Probably not true. We don't all get the same land generation.
Right.
So, mystery solved.
Well, Gregory Baldwin left us a comment on Spotify. He said, great episode. And he said, love the discussions and the Discord channel. Excellent work, guys. So thank you, Gregory.
Yes, thank you for letting us know. I mean, the community in the Discord is just amazing. It's a lot of fun. We also had a comment on YouTube from Nonstop Ram saying that the ship size tip was very helpful. So if this is your first episode, you're just coming in, we actually found out and revealed last week that the size of your ship determines how close you land to POIs. So smaller ships will land closer. We also got another comment that I really enjoyed from Gravely5059 saying, Merry Xmas from all your gangster friends on Neon. Remember to take it easy on the Aurora this New Year's Eve. And thanks for the epic content, dudes.
Nice.
Yes, please take it easy on the Aurora.
Well, the Russian Bear left us a 5-star review on Apple. And he said, great chill content. Great chemistry between these two nerds. Hey now.
Yeah.
Great chill
Nerds?
vibes and some accurate information. Some accurate information, not all. No, but
Yeah.
he did say...
We do our
best.
best.
We do our best. He said, but really just a chill podcast to listen to, and the hosts are always having a good time and goofing around. Thank you, the Russian Bear.
Thanks, Russian Bear.
Yeah, he joined our Discord because
I
I recognize that name in the Discord as well.
I gotta say, we convinced somebody to spend a lot of money because Zenedris came and left a comment on YouTube. They said, catching up on the catalog. Because of our podcast, I pulled the trigger on this game and a new gaming PC that could play.
Yes.
Wow.
Welcome.
Wow.
Welcome to PC land.
Yeah, didn't even get an X Series X. I get it. I get it.
Someday, Michael, you'll see the light or the dark side.
Yeah, I'll come over. Yeah.
Okay, we also have one from Chrissa King 16 who said, my favorite podcast. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Whoa.
Says, I am continually
That's
impressed
amazing.
with this podcast. First Starfield related pod I followed, and now the only one remaining. Thank you, Chrissa King. And looking forward to this show every week. Well, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate all the comments. Love reading them. Also, we have friends of the show, people that contribute through our YouTube membership. That helps us. It helps us send free coffee mugs out to people. Honestly, that's kind of what we're doing with that. If you want to help support the show, that is one way that you can do it. You can go over and to our YouTube channel, check out the membership. There might be something there for you. Otherwise, hey, if you don't want to do that, just listening to the show is awesome. Thank you so much. If you're doing that, you're already like my favorite person in the world.
Oh, I thought I was your favorite person.
No, you're not even top 5.
Damn. It's cold, man. It's cold.
That was like the meanest thing.
You couldn't even finish
say.
it. You don't have a mean bone in your body, and you couldn't finish that insult.
No, you're top 5, maybe. I have to think about it.
Wait, there's 4 people in your family, so that would put me number 1.
That's assuming that everyone in the family made the list.
I often, I do think
Just
sometimes
kidding.
I'm like I joke to Michael's detriment a few times too many, but...
No, you should, and I should be more comfortable with being meaner.
We got to exercise the mean bone. That sounded weird.
Yeah, it's...
We found our show intro.
There it is.
Exercise your mean bone.
I don't even know where we go from here.
I think we end it. What else is there to say?
I think that's the end.
Thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thank you to those watching on YouTube. All links are provided in the show notes below.
If you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. We would love that.
Yeah, and thanks for traveling the Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe because we will be back for more next week.